start with roll call for the May 19th Neighborhood Advisory Council. I'll just call the names and just please say present. Theo Webster. Theo Webster. Eileen Fallett. Kelly Semerad is present. Karen Simas.
Simasek, present.
Say it again, please.
Simasek.
Simasek.
Mm-hmm.
Debbie Balashak.
I'm present.
Luis Alguien. Luis. Keith Constantine. Keith is here. Keith is present. Cheryl.
I am present.
Thank you, Eve.
Yeah.
Cheryl Hamal.
It's Hamill,
Hamill.
and I'm Hamill, like camel. And
Yeah.
I'm present. Here I am.
Thank you. Paul Conway.
I'm here.
Janet Hamal. Janet. Anna Pepper. Anna Pepper. I thought that I saw
Yes.
her earlier.
On.
I see her. There she is. Anna. Okay, we'll mark you as present, Anna. You're having some audio problems, I think.
She should unmute herself, at least. She's muted, so you can see her.
Eugene. I see Eugene. He's frozen, but there he is.
I'm here. Can you hear?
You know,
Yes.
You don't know how to see,
You're
you
just-
don't
you're-
see this unless you know.
Anna, you're skipping a little bit, your audio. It's skipping, so it's picking up intermittently. Eugene?
I can unmute her.
Yeah, I'm traveling. I wasn't even planning to be here, so I'm doing the best I can.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. Thank you very much. Eugene, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I coming through? Okay, I'm in the middle of a state park.
Yes.
Yes.
A little while. I'm
And
at
then we have-
Lee State Park. Going home.
Awesome. Your internet's a little, Eugene, you might have to turn your video camera off to speed your internet up.
Tell me if my voice sounds better. Test, test. Hey, hey.
Yes, it's better. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then Denise Lewis. Denise? Okay, I think she is absent. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Again, it's the May 19th meeting. On our agenda, we're going to move to public comment. Do we have any members from the public that are attending?
No, we don't have any public attending at the moment.
Okay. Close public comment. Since we don't have any, we don't need to do it. Okay, so approval of the minutes from last week. Those minutes. I saw the minutes. Were the minutes circulated to the committee members? I believe that they were in the shared drive. Is that correct? Lamaria?
I don't remember seeing them.
I don't recall seeing them, but I'm gonna go into my Google Drive and see if they're there.
I looked earlier
yeah,
and I
I'm
didn't
not-
see them. Please let me know if you find them.
I didn't.
Yeah, they're not in the Google Drive. Lamary, did you email them to everyone or did you put in the Google Drive? Oh, they're not in the Google Drive, but maybe you put it someplace else in the Google Drive.
There should be sauce in that. I think.
Lamaria? Unless you internet. You there?
Oh, Mary. Yeah.
I see you muted, but I don't hear anything.
I can see her.
I saw her.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's see if she's having still having computer issues.
There she is. Yep, she's there. She's calling.
Well, to keep the meeting moving forward, we could make a motion to amend the agenda to move approval of the minutes to the end of the meeting, if we'd like to, so that we can keep the meeting moving.
I'll make a
Would you like to
motion.
make a
Yeah.
motion?
I'll make a motion to move it to the end.
I second that, Eugene.
Okay, motion to amend the agenda to move approval of minutes from the previous meeting to the conclusion of the meeting as opposed to at the front of the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. So we'll move approval of the minutes to the end of the agenda so we can continue on. First, I just would like to pause. Can everybody see the agenda in the Google Drive? We did the survey, and I know that there are some people who are not accustomed to working in Google, myself included. So don't be shy if you don't know where it is or you can't see it. Please let us know and we can walk you through the steps to access the agenda. Does anybody need it?
Kelly, let you know, it's not in this meeting's folder for the minutes, but she's moving it in there now.
Okay, thank you.
Where's the link? I'm looking for the link. Was it sent by email?
Are you talking about the agenda?
Google Drive and everything and
Okay, yes. So you go to your Gmail, you click on the little dots that are next to the initial of your name in the upper right-hand corner. And then you kind of scroll down and you'll see that there's, let's see, it says account, search, maps, news, play, Gmail, meet, chat, contacts, and drive. Do you see the drive?
Oh, no.
Oh, hang on. Let me click that. And account manager. Nope. I see the three dots. That's new tab, but manage your Google account.
I'm going to, I don't know. Can you see my screen, Eugene? Here's my initial. Okay.
I'm in the wrong account again. I deleted it. It put me on the CRCA account again. Damn it. It keeps doing that.
So click on the initial to your name.
Okay.
And then it will when there's a little circle and it might have like an E in it for Eugene or maybe an F for Florida Scrub J.
Yep,
If you click on that, then you will see that there's other accounts that are there.
And I said add another account and see what happens. Oh, I did this before. Oh.
In the meantime,
Okay.
while you're looking for that, Eugene, in the I also I sent it out by email. I responded to I think Lamaria's email earlier this week, and the agenda was there.
Images.
All right, Kelly, I have a couple of updates for you real quick. So
Okay.
Louise on his phone listening in. I'm not sure why I don't see him in the list, but he was able to text, which is odd. And then I did put in the chat the link to the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank-
Um,
I'm reading the minutes and it has me absent. So am I reading the correct minutes? Because I was there. This is May 4th. So I was there.
Lemeria, who updates the minute? Lemeria, will you update the changes to the minutes?
Okay, where's my, right?
Yeah, she's doing it right now. For some reason, her audio just isn't working, but I see her editing the minutes right now.
This is Debbie Balashak, and I wanted to correct my spelling for the minutes from last time's meeting. The last two letters of my name should be AK, not CK. Thank you.
Thank you, Lemuria, for changing that. Now I'm there.
Eugene, I just emailed you a link to the agenda,
Okay,
Florida Scrub J account.
okay, I'm digging through it right now. I'm trying to. Why is it not? It's weird. Okay. Yeah, I'm having problem getting to the Google Drive. I thought I had this working before because we worked on it.
Yeah, we were in it earlier.
Yeah, we were in it before.
All right, Eugene, I just chatted you the link to the agenda as well.
Okay. Let's see.
It's in the
Continue.
chat.
Okay, so if anybody else needs to access the agenda, it's in the chat, which is located in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. You'll see it says chat and it has a little red circle next to it. Okay,
Gotcha.
so considerations of, are there any further additions? Well, I'm going to go back to considerations of additions to the agenda. So in tonight's agenda, does anybody have any additions that they would like to make? Okay, hearing none, we will move to then approval of the agenda. All those in favor of tonight's agenda, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, so we have just approved our agenda for the night. We move on then to the reports of officers and work groups. And we have very brief updates because we're just getting going. The first one is that I wanted to share, we sent a Qualtrics survey out, which was the majority of people have participated in. I still have a couple of people that didn't, and I'm going to share my screen. Is it possible for me to share my screen here? I'm not familiar.
Are you a master? I'm not sure how WebEx works. You have to be the master, I think. Thank
You
you.
see it, Kelly? You should have received something that said that you can make presentations.
Let me see here. So
Just
Yes,
see on
I
the
see.
bottom share.
Yep, I see it.
Okay.
So let me. So the survey, it kind of revealed what we already suspected from the last meeting. So I will. Okay, so in terms of membership, just because, so in the District 5 strategic plan, there are 11 areas that are recognized kind of as smaller sub-communities within the larger District 5 community. And those sub-communities were listed as Maitland, Winter Park, Baldwin Park, North Goldenrod, South Goldenrod, Union Park, UCF area, Big Econ District, Bethlehem Christmas, Wedgefield, and then we had 3 zip codes within Orlando, 32804, 32803, and 32801. So what this graph shows you is that it shows you where the majority of our council members are coming from. So you can see down at the bottom, it has the scale where it has, you know, there's one person that's coming from Maitland, one from Winter Park. North Goldenrod has 2 people. The Big Econ District has 1, and then the Orlando sub-communities has 3. So we've got, that's what our representation is right now. We don't have representation on the council from Baldwin Park, South Goldenrod, Union Park, the UCF area, Bethlehem or Christmas. I fall in the Big Econ District, but I actually, I guess I would consider myself more Bithlo than I would the Big Econ. We don't have anybody from Wedgefield, and then we have 3 people from the Orlando area. So in terms of community or council membership, it would be great if we had representation from these other sub-communities within the area, just so that we get a true representation of community needs and by our council. So if any of you have friends, I'm going to try to recruit somebody from Wedgefield. But if anybody has any friends or family or colleagues that reside within these areas and are interested in becoming committee members, it would be great. So
I have a question, Kelly. This is Debbie Balashak asking. For the UCF area, what are the location, I guess I'm thinking of, because I'm University in Goldenrod, so I pictured myself as North Goldenrod. I was picturing someone like along Alafaya and University to be the UCF area. Am I incorrect in that thinking?
So I can go to the let me go to there was a map that's in our shared drive. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can see my internet.
Sure.
Okay, so now I'll come back and share. So this is, do you see the map? Is it big enough?
Yes, I see it.
So it looks like the UCF area. I can't zoom in further on this. So I don't know. Emily, do you know the boundaries of the UCF area? What would be the main crossings on either side?
I believe it's I'm trying to zoom in.
It appears that it's going to be east of the econ of the county border down to your southern border for the district.
It's
Right yellow line is Alafaya, maybe?
yeah, so the yellow line is Alafaya Trail and University Boulevard. I believe the left side by Union Park, that's Route Road.
That's what I would say, Rouse.
And then all the way to the left, where it says North Gold, well, before that,
Okay.
that there I believe is the little Econocachi River.
Well, there's
All right.
the big econ is where the blue is, and then the yellow the north-south running, assuming north is top, is Alafaya. So it stops at, I guess that's University going east-west, the yellow line. And then Rouse Road separates. That's basically, it's a big area. It includes a lot of subdivisions and stuff. It's all the new stuff along that Lockwood Road and down to.
All right, then I presume that I'll probably stick with North Goldenrod because I'm probably where that little point is on the yellow line.
Okay.
Okay. Baldwin Park, how we define Baldwin Park? Just the actual Baldwin Park development, or is it the area that, or just Orlando Baldwin Park? Because like Rachel lives in Orange County, but she lives just south of it from Berry College. So I'm trying to think of people I could call. We considered Baldwin Park.
Over here. So we've got Baldwin Park over here. And what area are you talking about, Eugene?
It's difficult to see, but control shift. Let me see if I can get any larger.
Yeah, it doesn't, I can't, it doesn't, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
But I'm going to try to zoom. I can zoom. Let's see. Okay. Okay, you can zoom. If you do on the top, you see file, edit, share, view. If you view, you go zoom to, and then choose your one. Well, Baldwin Park is that's City of Orlando, but it includes, I think it includes 436, going all the way up to 436. And it goes down to, I think, is 50 your border in that area, Emily?
Pretty
That's
much,
50.
for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm in 32803. Okay. Okay. So that's.
We can, let's pull this, we'll pull the map.
I know that lake there. That's actually the lake where there's a Korean barbecue joint there. So that's State Road 50. So Baldwin Park's all encompasses a lot more than just what we call Baldwin Park, the development. So we could.
So let's hold on to, I'll hold this, I'm going to leave this window open. I'm going to stop sharing the screen on the map because Eugene, when we get to the point in the agenda where we talk about new committee membership, then we can pull it up, you know, so that we can see where we need to attract people from, so we have representation from around the district. So hold those thoughts. So so we will come back to this question number 1 here, and then I will show. So in terms of the familiarity with the technology of the committee, so it wasn't a surprise. So you can see the key that we have over here. So with pertaining to the red is the Google shared, purple was Doodle Polls, aqua was ClickUp, and green was Robert's Rules of Order. And it's no surprise here when we look at the aqua here, the majority of us are not familiar with the software, so there is going to be a significant learning curve in terms of the ClickUp. But we will do our best to become familiarized with it, but we maybe the committee might need a little bit more of an in-depth review on the usage of ClickUp, and we could include that as a possible agenda item in the future, kind of like a training on it or a 101 on ClickUp. And then in terms of not familiar with Google Shared Drive, we had one person who was not familiar. Not sure who it was. It doesn't associate the name with the person. So we have one who is not familiar. Then we've got in the Google Shared Drives, we've got 5 people that are somewhat familiar. So I think that with the Google Shared Drives, once we get the hang of it, the things are there, but it's hard at first to 1, navigate it, and then 2, to know where to find the documents. So if we get in it and kind of play with it, but we could have future training on that as well. Doodle Polls, most people are somewhat familiar, but it seems as though Doodle Polls is working okay. Is that right, Lemeria? It seems like people are participating and are figuring that out. Is that an accurate assessment? I'm looking for Lemuria to see. And then Robert's Rules of Order, the good news is that we were all quite familiar with that. So that's a good thing. We don't have any experts in the group, so probably a bunch of modest people. But it looks like where we need the most information will be in ClickUp and then navigating the Google shared drive, just so that we move from being somewhat familiar or not familiar to at least familiar with the other here. And then lastly, we also had a discussion during our last meeting regarding people's areas of interest pertaining to what they, like the work groups that they may like to participate in. And one second, please. Sorry, what we see is this is ranking orders here. Where did it go? So like here is the environment. You see that this is in the position of number 1. So there were 4 people who ranked environment as their number 1 interest. And then we move here. We have 2 people who ranked land use as their second area of interest. The graphs are, what is this one here? Lots of people here were concerned about public safety and health, as they ranked it as their 5th most important. But I'll go down here to the numbers. Essentially what we're looking at in terms of the council members' interests, these are your top 3 here. It's the environment, agriculture, rural affairs, and the land use. So it just gives us an idea of where people might want to spend some of their time. So, but we'll have other areas where we don't really have a lot of committee interest. So that again is where we need more recruits, people from different areas and people with a little bit more diverse interests. It makes sense that Emily, you ran on a platform of environment, you got elected, so it makes sense that your constituents are reflecting concerns for the environment. It definitely is makes sense in all jibes. So those were these survey results. Did anybody have any questions regarding the information? Okay.
I was interested in affordable housing, but I didn't know which category that would fall into, if any. Do you have any ideas?
So in those categories with
I put land use because I thought maybe land use included affordable housing, multiple family
It could
units
actually be
versus
health and
single
safety, too,
family.
'cause it fits in a couple categories potentially.
What other category did you say, Eugene?
Yeah, public safety and health, because it becomes a health issue with homeless people.
Mhm. Yeah.
And safety because of the petty crime might occur.
Well, the reason I put land use is because, we have zoning laws for, let's say, single family housing, which means you can't put multiple unit housing on that land. So that's why I put it.
some of them.
That was how I looked at it also, when I started thinking of multifamily affordable housing or anything like that. I'm picturing new development, so that's kind of my thought as well.
Okay.
Well, there's opportunity, and yesterday at the BCC, I think United Way got quite a bit of money to do some stuff. So there might be federal money available. Maybe there's a hotel that's defunct or something that could be reutilized as a transitory and have an organization take it over and get it funded properly.
Yeah.
So that there's potentially a few hotels on 50 that might fit in that category, maybe. I don't, it would have to be surveyed. So it wouldn't necessarily be a new housing development. It could be existing, something that exists that we reuse as something different.
So I think that some of the
Question, Kelly?
topics here.
Can I ask a question? So I also am very interested in pedestrian safety, driving, safety on the roads, bicycles. I assume that kind of was a little bit of transportation and public safety health. And I know that's something a lot of people in District 5 are interested in. So is that correct? Which one would you say is more covering that area of interest?
Well, so Karen, I agree, and I think that what has happened here is that some of these topics are not mutually exclusive of one another, meaning that they don't just fit niche into one category where there's overlap in terms of different areas, different departments, different organizations that would need to be involved. So I would do exactly what you'd say. I'd say it was like part of transportation as well as part of public safety. But it's just a topic that I don't think is mutually exclusive of these categories. Same with like affordable housing. Affordable housing is going to touch on a couple of these different things. And I think that when we talk about social issues and social concerns, a lot of these things, have these overlapping areas like that, which I'm going to show you the thematic analysis that supports what I'm talking about here. So so now don't laugh, you guys, because I'm one of those people who I'm like, I'm not quite sure how to use the Google Drive. So give me a minute to stumble around. I put it
It's been
in.
wonderful. I'm still trying to get it. I haven't gotten it work yet.
So let's see, shared drives. And maybe it's in this one. Council meetings. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
Or do I have to reshare it again? Okay, good.
Yes.
So here's May. Here's 19. Okay, so I inserted just a very brief PowerPoint. It doesn't look like an amazing. What's going on here with this? Okay, so forgive me, in the Google Drive, oh, maybe here, format, slideshow. View. My apologies. I don't know how to launch the slideshow from
Are you
this.
trying to do the present?
Yes.
Press escape. And then press the slide where you were at slide. And then
The slide
no,
to the
view,
left.
view. Sorry, get out of there and go to the
I
view.
see.
Yeah, there you go. I saw percent at the top.
Thank you. Okay, so this was similar to what we were just discussing about how some of those topics are not mutually exclusive of one another. So here's what a thematic analysis does. So I looked at the District 5 strategic plan, and it had the 11 different sub-communities that were listed within District 5. So there was Maitland, Winter Park, Bithlow, Christmas, Wedgefield, Goldenrods, Union Park, etc. So it lists all of those. And I went through the data and insert. So the whole purpose of when you do a thematic analysis is that it takes qualitative data, which is just it's words or phrases, and it extracts the data trends and patterns that would be reflected within that data. And it clumps together words that are kind of popping up around each other. And so you run it through a software that then clumps them together. So I took the District 5 strategic plan and I input the words that were within that plan of the 11 identified regions. And essentially it had some scattered words where, you know, they don't do anything, they don't clump together or they don't hang around each other. So the system doesn't pick them up. But here are the 5 trends in terms of the data of what was being revealed. And they're listed in the sequential order of frequency, meaning how many times they appeared throughout all of the District 5 groups. So if you recall during our last meeting, what we were trying to kind of figure out is that we wanted to know, like, well, basically, what should we do? Like, how do we come up with a problem statement that would have impact, you know, not just in our own area niche community, but how could we work together to make a benefit for all of District 5? But then what would that problem statement be? And we didn't really know. So here's where people from all across District 5 have common concerns, issues, challenges, etc. Now, one thing that I want to tell you is that this is a software system, so it's not thinking about the context of each region. So for example, people who live on Corinne Drive, they might have a different social setting or dynamics there that would present different problems than, if we're talking about traffic, than people that are within Bithlo. So it doesn't consider the context of each region, but it just groups these words together. So here's what it was, is that the #1 hit across District 5 was people being concerned about water quality, supply, conservation of it, or flooding. Those were so that's how water was being looked at. The #2 thing that was being picked up was public transportation improvements, pedestrians, bike safety. And then the #3, which I would have thought that reducing traffic would have been part of public transportation. It wasn't. It was controlled growth, congestion, reducing traffic. And then youth was looking at schools and education. And then the words drugs and homelessness were appearing within some form of a pattern in terms of the number of words that was separating them. So those were the areas that, when we look at District 5, they're the top 5 themes that we're hearing people express as being concerns, challenges, or issues across the district. So what this information gives us for purposes of the council is just an idea, is that if we're trying to really make a difference to District 5, these are some of the concerns that people have. The interesting thing here when you look at this data is that we've got a lot of people on the council who are interested in the environment. And interestingly enough, when we did the thematic analysis, people were not expressing environmental concerns per se, other than, say, being concerned about issues with water. And if we drew an inference, people being concerned about development, but we didn't have actual expression of environmental terms or terminology. So that is, that's the analysis that I did. Did anybody have any questions on the themes that arose across? I'm sorry, there's a typo on that slide. It shouldn't actually be Orange County. It should be District 5, Orange County, the themes.
Oh,
I had a question, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked at the strategic plan for the Goldenrod area, it was on slide 6. I can't remember the title, but something about negative attributes or something. I was part of the focus group for that, and I think there's a typo on the slide when it says there's a concern regarding the number of UCF students that are in the area. It's more just students. It wasn't we didn't specify UCF, because we have UCF, we have Full Sail, we have a variety. I don't know how important that is, but I wanted to make sure I cleared that up.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, it's too small for me to read on that. When I'm
is-
looking at the actual slideshow, it's kind of gray and it says aspects of negatively affect quality of life urban.
Okay.
If that helps.
Debbie, if you go to where it says file, edit, share, and then the next one's view, if you click view, go down to zoom to, and that will blow up what Kelly is showing you.
Say it again, please.
Okay, on under the Cisco WebEx events, you have
Yes.
file, edit, share, view.
Yes.
If you look at view and about 20 things down, there's zoom to. And
Got it.
and I zoom it because I can't see it either. So I get
Okay,
a
thank
25%, and that seems to work pretty good. You might
Got
just check that every so often because it doesn't seem to behave properly all the time.
Okay. I think I see what you're talking about now. Hang on.
I tried that. That helps a bit.
Okay. All right, give me a second to.
Kelly, with the data that you got, did you do a text-based search and then grabbed out hot words and then, or how did you, was this it?
I took this plan that's right here and I went through and I just entered in the phrasing that was associated with priorities of the community. So each individual community I went through to see what were their priorities. And I use a software system that's just called thematic analysis. And it clusters words according to frequency of appearance and how they are appearing. What's the pattern that they're appearing in? So like you will, so like, for example, water supply, like that popped up, it must have popped up somewhere else too, where it shows that then that was an expression that people linked or put the words together, linked them together. So it's just but like I said, I mean, the software system it's not a thinking person. All it's doing is grouping words based on frequency. So it's it gives you some insight, but then the council needs to kind of apply those to different, circumstances, knowing that each sub-community within District 5 has different contexts.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I looked at the data off of it coming out, and control growth, congestion, reduced traffic. Now, that's kind of an interesting twist because you think about reducing traffic, and there's either you have no growth, reduce the number of people, or you actually can create a much higher density. For example, around UCF, instead of allowing the student housing going out 2 miles, try to reclassify Alafaya Trail as a super density area. So you try to concentrate the people in the areas of their most highest contact time, which would be the university for students, for example. That's the easy one. So that would reduce traffic. For example, right now we're putting a lot of student housing right now in 50, which is just increasing the F road to even worse than the F road. So what the thing, to reduce traffic, it would increase congestion potentially, but you also could run buses much more effectively if you have a higher density within they used to use a word for this. It's your work area, but it also is the area for UCF would actually be the area you live. So all that area would be seen as a unit where people would be using 80% of their time going to university, maybe some shopping nearby. So you try to cluster all your traffic to that local area, so you could actually have a bus like a Lynx, like we have downtown, just a rotator, and which they do have, but right now it has to go quite far out because the way they've allowed growth patterns go much farther from the university. And then also, when you do that, you could address the pedestrian bike safety, because now you can start designing based on that issue, based on the control of growth. So yeah, they all are totally interrelated. So.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the flood, the spawn of the, so it's so it's,
Yep.
but
Yep.
I mean,
So Kelly, where does this lead us in the way of forming work groups and then figuring out maybe ways to make improvements to District 5?
So this was just an idea just to show the priorities that people were saying, hey, am I sub community? This is a priority to me from the focus groups that were done. So then if we look, so now hold on just a second. I'm going to stumble backwards here to the document that was shared with us in the very beginning, where it was within the bylaws. Does executive meeting?
it's in the
I'm looking
bylaws
here. Well, there were these categories that were listed within the bylaws here.
Right.
So let me go to these. Give me just a second.
Meetings.
Okay. Do you guys recall there was a list of topics? I thought that appeared within the bylaws.
Yeah, there.
What do you?
You
Oh,
almost
here it is. Areas of interest work groups. Here it is. Do you guys see
Maybe
here?
we can.
Do you see it up here where it says areas of interest and work groups? I made it bigger. So it says community, economic and workforce development, human services and education, justice and public safety, public health, environmental protection, energy, land use, transportation, and then finance and intergovernmental affairs, telecommunications and technology, agricultural and rural affairs. So last time that we met, we looked at those areas of interest for the work groups and we thought, well, in terms of like, let's take, for example, community, what does it mean? Like, what is the problem that we would be trying to solve? But we didn't really know. So the only thing that I was hoping that the thematic analysis might do is to provide insight as to what people were listing as a concern or a priority for their community, where they lived, so that was it. And we got 5 basic hits here. Like when we look at environmental protection, it's clear from the data that was there, people are concerned about their water. And that was across all 11 regions within District 5. If we look at transportation, the thematic analysis reveals that people are concerned about transportation, the safety, pedestrians, overcrowding. So we could make a problem statement from that specific thing. For example, maybe there's a pedestrian safety grant somewhere in the state of Florida where that could be an identification of the council that, hey, the constituents of District 5 are concerned about their safety while they're walking on the roads. That means Orange County needs to enhance that. And here's some potential funding for acquiring the funds to do that. That's kind of what I was hoping for in a very preliminary way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, and Eugene and I, we thought tonight that what we could do is later here, was just do a sample practice run through by taking some of the data and just creating a problem statement and using the worksheet so that we could see how this all might tie together. So we can pick that up in a little bit and we'll look more at the thematic analysis, but that's the preliminary information. Eugene, do you want to talk about recruiting new council members? How many, when, and strategies to do so? I'll pull.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the Qualtrics report so that we can see.
I'm thought about okay, the themes that we have here and some of the questions that we all have on how we approach this. Maybe what we do is we create a concept, let's say environment. Then we get categories beneath that, and that's where it's going to overlap on all the other, like you have transportation, but then you're going to have stuff in the subgroup in the environment too, because there's going to be overlap, but you have a certain point of view. Maybe that's how we maybe can you take an environmental or a transportation, but underneath there in the subgroups, you actually are addressing many of the same issues, but you have a slightly different point of view. I don't know if that would work because everything's interrelated, but somehow you got to take a certain twisted point of view of, you know, what is your interest? Let me get back to the, go to my drive here and look at my where we're at. Okay. So I guess one of the things I'm working on is one, how do we approach trying to find more people to represent the areas a little better that we're missing right now, and what would be the strategy of trying to reach out to these folks? Because right now I have a few friends I can call and see if they would do things, but I think we have to get more people to sit on more of these committees, and also we have to have enough people on each committee where there's some energy of thought between them. Right now, I think we have 11 people. I think.
Yeah.
On with us, and we probably need to get quite a few more if we really want to address these issues. And also there's probably issues we haven't even thought about yet, but as we get more people, that would happen. So
I have a question. Do I hear you saying that what you're trying to do is have it be geographical, meaning, example, I'm in Maitland, I would only work on one of these issues that's come up in the Maitland area? Or what if I have an interest with like East Colonial and University being better for pedestrians? Are you saying that you would be looking for someone on council who lives in that area and that I shouldn't help in that area? Or are you saying I stay in my geographical area? I guess this is my first question.
no, I think, you know, for example, myself, I live downtown Orlando in the Milk District, but I have interests all throughout East Orange County. So I have the same type of interest on 50 and all the pedestrian issues on 50, bicycling issues. So no, I don't see a problem with someone. If you have experiences and thoughts about another area, certainly not, because you live here, yeah, and you experience every time you go out your door. So I don't have an issue with people if they want to look at. You have your experiences. Maybe you use a bike trail out on the they want that to be a little more longer or something. Maybe more of a commuter point of view, or is there a safety issue on some of those bike trails that you could potentially use as a bike commuter line? As a bicyclist, for example, I don't ride on roads anymore if I can avoid it.
So I think ideally
if people
what we would like to have happen is to have representation from all of the different sub-communities, but that we together are working together to make a difference across all of District 5, not just your specific area, is what I think the overall goal here is to be the most impactful that we can be. But the most impactful and most potent that we can be is, I think, is with representation from all of the sub-communities. Not, and also our areas of interest and maybe even our areas of expertise. You know, we have we have issues with technology, for example, in the area, but we may not have anybody who's on the council right now that is actually, has a lot of information on that. So we would need to kind of recruit people that can bring information in as well.
Can we use Facebook to recruit people?
Sure.
Put it out to my friends and see, do you know somebody in Union Park or Wedgefield,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
So are we doing any actions at this point except besides recruiting? Is recruiting like our first thing that we're doing actions on? Or are we, as we currently stand, are we able to move forward on looking for funding for certain of these themes in certain areas?
I think we can move forward, but I think that the recruiting is just going to be an ongoing effort of the council just throughout its existence. I think we'll always need more volunteers.
Yeah, that's as people discover new things that they're interested in, that's going to generate more need for that area. And the representation, you live in Maitland, I live in Orlando. We need more. We have to make sure we cover all the different points of view, but that doesn't restrict us just to our area. But we need to find out what if you live on Bates Avenue off of, let's say, Goldenrod, they might have issues that we don't know about. And they have a new expressway basically going through the Karate Road. That might be a big issue to them on some of the design issues. It's in design now, I believe. So, I mean, one of the problems I see many times is the way we design roads. So that would be potentially something that we can address. They have a certain criteria now, like Prairie Ford, the new section is designed more like, I hate to say, a parkway. It's very broad. Well, is that really conducive to humans being near it? Riding bicycles, walking down the sidewalk. So these things I think we should address, and we certainly try to find people who live out there who experience it daily, because my experience downtown is different. I can walk anywhere around my area because it's a grid, and people who live out in the new areas don't have that. They can't really walk easily.
Well, and since we're not seeing recruiting going on at the pace we'd want, you and Kelly set it up. It's explained pretty well in our Google Drive that when you pick something to do, an action item, you're going to be pulling those around. You're going to be bringing in community advice. They don't necessarily have to be on council. So I think that you covered that very well as far as when we pick something.
Okay. So let's go back to minutes here.
I think that when Emily, if she takes this information to the BCC and she says, I have a council and it has representation from all of the communities within my district, and therefore this is a valid issue to address. I think it makes the claim, whatever claim we can come to, or whatever solution we can come to, I think it gives it more validity before the whole BCC, because it doesn't have, we have a thicker representation of the district. Do you think so? What do you think? I think we're functional the way we are, but I think that it always benefits to have representation from all the areas.
I think consensus can be built without people having to commit to the council if that's necessary. But that's council going out to the areas that your thematic analysis has has put us, has directed us to.
Mhm.
So, because I mean, I'm just looking at Maitland and some of our issues. We may not have the need. We don't have the needs that maybe another geographical area of the district would have. So therefore, my time is going to be better spent in another area. Since I've committed my time to this council, then it's up to me to make sure that I'm talking to everyone in that area and making sure that they agree, since they're living there every day. And I think that we could do that if the recruiting is slow and ongoing.
Yeah, Karen, I would like to just say that definitely that's what I was really hoping for with the council, for have representation throughout so that you can reach out to your community, see what your community is feeling, share with them things that we're doing and stuff like that. So that's definitely one of the things I had in mind. I would like to quickly just introduce Sharon, who had just joined. I actually just recruited her as we were on this meeting. She's from Christmas. So glad to have someone who can help represent Christmas to join.
Very good.
Is she on?
Yeah, she's on.
Sharon Rosen.
Hello,
Hello.
can you guys hear me?
Is this
Yes.
Sharon Rosen?
Hi, I'm Sharon. I'm from Christmas.
Hi, Sharon.
Hello.
Sorry, I don't have my camera on. I'm actually in a vehicle right now. And so we actually went to pick up donation food from Chick-fil-A to give out to families. So that's why I didn't put my camera on.
Wow.
I'm really not sure what the meeting's about. Is it about just what we need in our community?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Christmas, I feel like in Orange County is kind of forgotten because we're in the middle of nowhere and we're really rural. So there's not many people that come out this way. And I feel like sometimes we get left behind. I work with a lot of the kids in the community. There's really no resources out there for them. I started a nonprofit organization in 2018 to help the children. I really think we need more resources out there as far as helping the kids, because there's no transportation to Christmas. And I know that they've tried to get a bus service out there, but there wasn't enough people to sign for links to come out to Christmas. But I know there's a lot of issues out in our community. Yeah, and there's nothing for the children to do out there. I know they built the skate park, and I know we have Fort Christmas, but where I'm talking about is a very poor area, and there's nothing for the kids to do out there. So I don't know if there's a way to get a playground out there or a community center to get the kids to be able to do their schoolwork, because some of these kids out here, they do not have internet. They come to my house to do schoolwork and print out schoolwork because there's no internet out there. And the closest place to have resources to that is Bithlow, but it's like a 10-mile radius. It might be less than that, but a kid can't walk there or ride a bike there. And there's no way for them to get transportation to there because we're such a poor community. Parents to be like, I don't have gas because I have to spend it on so-and-so. So there's definitely a need out in Christmas for certain things and resources.
Sharon, do you live actually out in West Christmas Road, in that area?
I live in Christmas in the park. I live behind Circle K. I don't know if you're
Okay, I know
aware where
it's
that
at.
is.
Yep.
Yes, that's where I live. I live behind Circle K.
So, I mean, one of the thoughts is maybe we need to discuss, you said community center, because I realized, going down that road, I drove that road for 30 years going to KSC every day. And unfortunately, I've seen the results of people getting hit on that road, trying to catch the bus. Maybe a thought would be is a small community center / library in that area on the south side of the road. Because right now they did build that new park down the road, west of West Christmas Road, but that's more of a baseball soccer field type place. And it's actually too far for most people because there's no sidewalks to get there. And bicycling on 50 is impossible. There was a person that was killed out there a couple years ago, and he was actually in the bike lane, and they swerved it and hit him.
All right, so I'm sorry, I'm just jumping in here real quick. Sharon, will definitely get you caught up with everything. Everyone, like just real quick, I met Sharon at I forget what was the gas station there. Was that the Circle K that we met at?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So I was actually during Hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Irma, taking ice off of a truck, and she came at me and yelled at me.
That was actually
That's how we met.
Melissa. That was Melissa that yelled at you. I was just there watching.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
because
so that was
nobody
how
had
we met.
checked on
us. They were so passionate helping the children out there and getting showers to everybody, and it was such a stressful time, and I just so felt for them. And yeah, so I mean, we are here to help, and having her on, I think it's great to cover some of those areas too, like the human services and education and stuff that perhaps some of the members on this council was towards the environment, and we need more people who can fit into the other areas. So Sharon would definitely be able to fit into that bucket. And so some of the issues that she mentioned too, we're hoping that we can get that and issues like that into a evidence-based policy making worksheet, get some grant funding and stuff like that. So Sharon, I will get you caught up. We have some of our previous meetings recorded for you to watch and get caught up. And I will turn it back over to Kelly.
Okay, well, Emily, I am I'm actually, unless Eugene has anything else on recruiting new council members.
Nope.
I think that'll just be an ongoing issue while we reach out to our communities while working on the problems that we'll draw. But Emily, you're next on the agenda with the Facebook event. Emily tells all.
Go ahead, tell all. And it's being recorded.
Oh, I was on mute when I made my comment. I was like, oh, I will. No. Okay, let me get to the, I just lost the agenda. All right, here it is. All right, sharing Facebook event with the community. Okay, so on Facebook, I try to make an event for each of these meetings so that you can share with you can go ahead and share that with your Facebook community so that they could attend. And if they attend too, that's a great way to try to get some recruits too from people who are attending. And all, it is a talk show that I am starting, and I'll be sharing more information about that. The first show is going to air on June 3rd, and it's going to be about the puppy mill to consumer pipeline. The next show on June 10 is going to be on the LGBTQ Pride Month. And then on June 17th, it's going to be on National Safety Awareness Month. So if there's any topics that any of you think I should do a show on to get information out to the community and get them more engaged and sharing that knowledge, just let me know. I'll be definitely looking for show ideas. And the purpose of the talk show is to get information out to the community in a fun and engaging way in order to get more community engagement into our government. So I'm trying to reach those people who aren't typically interested in learning about government to become more interested. The pet retail sales ordinance, this past Tuesday, we just had that. This is something I brought up a couple of times. My second time bringing it up this year, it finally moved forward. I've been working with the Humane Society of the United States of America and with the ASPCA. And we now are at a point where we're going to have an ordinance coming up for a public hearing for a full ban on puppies, cats, and rabbits from puppy mills, which is a huge success, especially with all the, I'll just say, all the money that these pet stores throw at campaigns and stuff. But backyard chickens ordinance. We had our first public hearing this past Tuesday as well. This is something that in 2013 was my very first time ever speaking in front of the county commissioners, was on backyard chickens. So I'm really excited to see that finally moving forward as well. That's something I've definitely been working on as well for the past 4 years. Oh, since 2013, I guess, as a citizen. Those updates I have right now. And yeah, I am all done, Kelly. If anyone has any questions, I'm.
Emily.
What show? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you. What platform will the show be on? Is it on Facebook or social media or a different type of platform?
So the show is going to be on YouTube and Roku, which actually, Denise, I got the idea from you.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, Denise actually brought an idea of Roku to me. So the full episode is going to be Roku, and then there'll be broken up segments on YouTube. And if you haven't, please like my YouTube channel so I could get over 100. I need to get over 100 so I could change the URL name to a custom name.
Okay. Do you have the name of the Roku channel?
The name of the Roku channel is going to be Emily Bonilla. It's not live yet to download, but it will be. By the end of this week, it'll be up so that you guys can go ahead and, if you have Roku, and I think install or download the channel. I'm not sure what the correct term is yet.
Emily, is Roku a app?
Roku is like a device. They have like these really small ones now for your TV.
Okay.
And so you could get like Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, and all those different things onto Roku for you to make it. It makes your TV smart. So if you don't have a smart TV, it makes your TV a smart TV. And you can also find Roku on Amazon Fire now as well. So if you don't have Roku but you have Amazon Fire, you could get Roku on your Amazon Fire.
Okay.
Emily, I have a question about yesterday's PCC. I came down and talked about the econ ordinance that you have included in the rights of nature. I missed that section because I had to get my AC fixed in my car.
Yeah, so that one, the attorney was afraid of being sued. Like they don't even want to have to defend a challenge because then it could cost money, tax dollars. So they want to wait out this this lawsuit that's going on right now, which will answer some questions on what we can and can't do. And that should be, I'm going to estimate, and I could be completely wrong because who knows what the courts are going to do. It might be through the courts maybe in another 3 to 6 weeks. And then we could go back and revisit some of this.
Is this the one that was put in court against the development down by 528?
Yes.
Okay. We're still waiting for that to be served. They haven't served it yet.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little while. So it was you broke up a little bit. So the county attorney had the issue that the preemption issue.
Yes, he did. Because he didn't want us putting in language from the amendment into our ordinances and then have our ordinances challenged based on that preemption. But I mean, we are going to, and I'm going to push them to look at other things that they could do that meets the intention of the amendment, but doesn't name the amendment. That way, we could still get some of that stuff in there, but it's done in a kind of sideways way.
Yeah, we haven't. I guess it's going to be a while before it goes. It's going to go to the Supreme Court at some point. Because all this preemption stuff. So, okay. Well, I was hoping that would get a little farther than that, but that's okay. Part of the step.
Hey, the way I explain to people, because some people are like, you have all these losses. I'm like, no, they're not exactly losses. You always get something out of it. So you may not get your whole foot, but you get an inch. And then next time you get another inch and another inch. So,
Well, that's the environmental way. We're multi-generational. We push the stone up a little farther each generation, and then we die and we give it to the next person.
Okay, let's move to the next section here with unfinished business. It's selecting preliminary project problem statements and select committee work group membership. So I am going to go, how shall we do this? I'm going to go back to
The thematic analysis, maybe?
the thematic one, or should I show the areas, the categories? What would be more helpful, guys? To look at the categories or to look at the themes?
It's hard to tell.
Okay, so let me.
Categories?
Categories, okay. Categories. And that was in,
Sure where that's sitting at.
I think it's shared drives.
Categories.
What's going on here?
Nope.
Okay. Maybe it's in documents or bylaws. Emily, are they in the shared drive or documents? Bylaws. So just in that one.
sorry, what are you looking for?
I was looking for the bylaws with those area of interest, but I found it here. We're okay.
Oh, you found it? Where was it?
It's in the documents one. So here's what we have, these areas of interest work group. I'll make them bigger. So we have, oops, I'm so sorry. Why did I do that? Community economic and workforce development, human services and education, justice, public safety, and public health. And we have environmental protection, energy, land use, transportation, finance and intergovernmental affairs, telecommunications and technology, agriculture and rural affairs. I think what I suggest we do is that we select for this evening one of these 3 bullet points. And then we go to the thematic analysis and we determine a problem statement to address one of these bullet points. And then in our next meeting, we do the same. What does everybody think?
Okay.
It seemed like water quality was the highest issue.
Water quality is definitely the highest one. So that would fall within
Environmental
protection, right?
Or public health.
And public health, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me
Well, but just for the fun of it, why don't you just put on environmental protection, water use, and we'll just work with that tonight and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, can somebody read me what were the areas? It was environmental protection, what else? And
energy. The next one was energy, land use, transportation.
Put a whole bullet.
And then let me go to the
Dramatic.
Yep, so that's here.
That would be water. The first bullet says water quality /supply/ conservation / flooding.
Yeah, I'm not sure how flooding gets into that, but yeah.
Like, sometimes you get words that like are hanging out together in the analysis in the software system, but we as thinking people have to either eliminate it or massage it a little bit to make it make sense, because it doesn't always.
Well, when you consider flooding can actually cause your lift stations to fail and actually dump raw sewage in the water.
Yeah, we had that happen.
Not that ever happens, right?
Oh, it happened in our neighborhood.
It just happened downtown at Lake Ivanhoe. They had a flown well going right into the lake there.
Yeah.
They had a failure. Tens of thousands of gallons of raw sewage went right into the lake. It wasn't pretty.
All right, so we've got the environmental protection and then the thematic analysis. So the one that we're concentrating on with this problem statement would pertain to environmental analysis. And what we need is a problem statement pertaining to water quality, supply, conservation, and flooding. So does anybody have any suggestions?
I'm not sure where the water, where the problem is in District 5. Is it on the east side?
So in all of these 11, in all of the 11 regions, Maitland, Winter Park, Baldwin Park, Wedgefield, the big Econ area district, there was some recognition of people being concerned with water quality, but I don't know anything further into that. It's just that's how the system spit it out.
So Kelly, are you saying that we just need to come up with like something like the D5 Council recognizes the need to maintain the conservation of water quality and supply, and that's all we need? Like,
no, we need a problem statement. So whenever you write a problem statement, essentially what you want to have in it is that you want to have something that you can control and something that you can measure. So for example, I'm gonna use just a classic example because I'm sure that everybody has been on a diet before and we can all relate to a diet. So what can you control? You can control the amount of carbohydrates that you eat. What can you then measure? You could measure a reduction in your waist size. You could measure a reduction in your calories. You could measure a reduction in your weight. You could measure a reduction in your energy. So you have to have something that within that problem that we could, and when I say control, I don't mean that the council can control, but it's something that we can
get a measure of.
Yeah, it's so that you have something clear that we're trying to measure. So pertaining to water quality, perhaps it is.
What about control structures? Like, okay, we have a control structure around every building, apartment, whatever. And what is the effectiveness of that control structure to uptake the pollutants, for example, nitrates and phosphates?
That's exactly what I was thinking, Eugene, because when I was discussing water quality at the focus group, we were thinking more of the lake's water qualities.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and we could have multiple problem statements here. So the first one would be, Eugene, or can somebody please restate it? I'm not familiar with the terminology.
Debbie, you want to do it?
Huh?
Debbie, you want to state it?
I can try to state it appropriately. It might need tweaking, but
Okay.
the problem that I would state is the quality of lake water so that it is health to be used for its recreational purposes. Does that sound right?
So we have, okay, and the lake has inputs from the surrounding areas.
Right.
So the problem is the control of inputs is causing degrading of the water quality, and it's multiple points of source.
Correct.
So, for example, in Maitland area, I guess, is that where you're up in Maitland? I'm sorry.
I'm on Lake Winata.
Okay. So you have major roads that are inputting into stormwater control structures, and are they effective? Are they being maintained too well to the point where there's no vegetation in those to uptake the pollutants? And I actually need to put a study up for the group that John Foth gave me, which is very interesting about control structures and the effectiveness of them. The best maintained ones are actually the worst ones, producing the worst results. The worst ones are actually school board because they don't have the money to maintain them. So there's enough vegetation in them to uptake the nutrients. So the water's cleaner coming out of them. So so that would be, the problem is that we have water going into lakes, and the control would be making, is it clean from a pollutant standpoint? And pollutants too, and that's what causes all the lakes in Maitland and Winter Park to turn green, is all the pollutants.
Okay, and that's
Well,
correct when they have the
Maitland's lakes are in good shape. I think it's called oligotrophic, I don't know how you say it. So is Orange County, do we not have an advisory board already on lakes? That, just a question.
There is not one that I'm aware of. I've been involved with our HOA for the lakefront for a good handful of years, and there's never been anything discussed other than the municipal taxing district, which Lake Irma and Lake, oh my gosh, the ones that Trinity Prep are on. I can't remember their names. But the issues they had is they kept putting money into this taxing unit, but nothing was ever being done. And their hydrilla, their lily pads, their fish, all sorts of problems still exist. And no one's been able to put the effort into treating it.
Okay,
so maybe what I'm noticing with Lake Irma, because I'm familiar with Lake Irma, having kind of grown up on there, and with Maitland, is a lot of times it's education. So could that be part of our, you can measure how much people are educated about how to care for lakes. You can even find funding and work with other organizations to supply that information to people on live on lakes or use the lakes, or to understand when they're near a a storm drain. Is that something that, Kelly, we would be able to put in that measurable, or we can control that too. We can control that by educating people.
So tell me again with the stormwater, tell me again, just say exactly what you said again, please.
That we would educate those who live on lakes or those who live near stormwater drains so that they understand what's going into the lake. Some of it is based on what they're putting on their lawns. Maybe they don't know that pesticides, herbicides can pollute their lakes with nitrates and phosphorus. So it used to be that you would get a brochure and they would tell you about your lake. With our growing population in Orange County, a lot of people don't know this. They move from up north, like on Lake Irma. They move from New York and they cut down a cypress tree. So this is something that we could totally control and find funding for and make it something that you can measure every year. How many people did we reach this year? Now let's measure the lake. Did that education increase the health of the lake by educating?
In addition to that, part of the education would be people who own vessels that move their vessels from one waterway to another. They carry, whether it be in their prop or they don't wash their vessel out between one lake and the other, they will carry spores, if that's the right word, or, contaminants from one body of into the other. So that would be the
I don't-
other thing.
I don't know
Karen,
how you could help do.
one thing. Hi, this is Anna Pepper. I hope I've been cutting out a lot. I've only heard some conversation, but I'm actually a stormwater engineer. And when it comes to information about lake quality, the FDP website for every single lake in Orange County and beyond, there are actually volunteers who take water samples at a regular interval, and that information is already publicly available. Another public education aspect is that for anybody who has a water bill, for instance, in like City of Winter Park, where they have a lakes board, along with the water bill comes with information about keeping the lake and contaminants from the impact of pesticides on your lawn. So some of these educational things, just I think being more people aware of what's already available would probably get us closer to what you're describing.
So
I agree, Anna. And my mother actually is one of those volunteers for Lake Irma. And what she's noticing is even when she posts on Facebook, like, you're taking the water out of the lake when you irrigate your lawn, so please follow the restrictions for watering. People that are new to the lake don't know that. And sometimes it's kind of like what Emily said, it needs to be given to them in a fun way. And it needs to be given to them 3 to 5 times before they understand the consequence. So education is just a constant.
Is there a way that literature on educating lakefront owners can be incorporated into sales contracts when people buy homes? Because I look at the half a dozen or so new homes on Lake Wenata where I've gone out to give them educational pieces that our HOA has done. And it's like, we don't always know when someone's moved in, or I still have people putting sand and making beaches or clearing for a dock and exceeding their capacities. So I don't know if there's a way other than a voluntary organization, if they can have some document as part of their real estate transaction, educate them.
Okay, let me put that down now.
Well,
Is
as
it
far as
possible to-
building a dock or putting sand
Sure.
there, they're going to need a permit for that. And St. John's River Water Management District is the water district they're here within. So in the process of pulling those permits, they have to have a plan for water quality. So even if you're not part of the project and you're witnessing a project moving forward, really all you need to do is do a FOIA request and get whatever the plan was, because 100% they're going to have a permit if they affect a public body of water.
Correct.
Yeah, you're talking about enforcement, I think, Anna.
Right.
And
Well,
yeah, that's always a tricky one. There
Yes,
was in the 80s the League of Women Voters put out a Preserve Florida Waters booklet. That was something that got funded. They went around to organizations, got it funded, and they did pass it out to people who lived on the lake for free. They did not copyright it. They did not charge. It went all over the nation. Now with the internet, it seems like that would be even easier to share at some sort of publication like that. It's really just going to be about, again, educating people that it's there, making it fun, making it easy, making it quick.
I'll put an idea out. My friend just told me here, who just cooked me dinner very nicely. He's a lake owner in East Orange County, and his thought is, why not upon the sale of a house, that they have to bring it up to standards of whatever the county is. Like, you can't have more than a certain percentage cleared. You can't have other things from natural high water to from has natural, or if you brought in white sand to create a beach. So you have at that sale, you do it. And what would happen is couple people would get really upset, but the word would get out very quickly to the rest of the owners that John just got hit with a $25,000 cost to get his property back in order because he went and had some fun with docks and everything else on Sundays. And you're going to see a behavioral change because, unfortunately, I might be wrong, people don't change unless it hits them in the back pocketbook. And
I can agree with what you're saying, Eugene, and your friend's suggestion going back to when there's a transaction on the property, there needs to be some educational or repercussion instrument involved.
Well, yeah, I mean, what Doug is saying, is it like the city or the county could put a lien on that property until those things are fixed. So it would definitely get people aware that they can't just arbitrarily destroy the property, because he's seen on his lake where many people move in and they've never gotten permits. They've destroyed quite a bit of the lake over the years, and it has repercussions because of you don't have any riparian habitat to uptake the nutrients. Now they have green lawns going down to the borderline, which they then unknowingly maybe put fertilizers directly on. And then all of a sudden they get upset and the lake turns green. Then they call lake doctors and they spray it, and then the bottom turns to mush.
Okay, guys, so let's look at what we've done so far. So what we've done is we've taken an area of interest with environmental protection that Emily highlighted as a District 5 strategic part of the strategic plan. We looked at the thematic analysis. We saw that people were concerned with water quality, supply, conservation, and flooding. We drafted amongst ourselves tonight a purpose statement. That purpose statement is that the Neighborhood Advisory Council takes an initiative to ensure that the quality of D5 bodies of water are safe for residents and marine life. The problem statements that we drafted were the water quality of D5 lakes is not always safe for recreational use. And B, there are pollutants that go into the D5 bodies of water that negatively impact the water quality. And then we move to a claim. The committee actually made a claim, is what I heard from you, where it says educational programs for residents that reside near D5 bodies of water and stormwater systems may benefit from educational programs that informs residents on how to help improve the quality of water. And then we also talked about awareness. So education and awareness, they go hand in hand, but they are different things. So first you educate, and then you have to spread the awareness to other people. So D5 residents would benefit from water quality awareness programs pertaining to the D5 bodies of water. And then we had a research question that emerged in the dialogue where it is it possible to include the water quality education and awareness information in a real estate exchange when purchasing a home, and that there needs to be some form of information shared with home buyers as to how they could help reduce their impact on the quality of the water. So that's what this discussion has brought us to. What I'd like to do is go up to the problem statement here and just to ask, think of where you live, and do you have any issue with water quality or concern that you would like to insert a problem statement there? And it doesn't even have to be, I'm sorry, with where you live, but that you're aware is occurring in D5.
I do know that Lake Burkett and Martha are having problems with hydrilla.
Could it be captured with A here? The water quality of D5 lakes is not always safe for, I guess it's not just recreational use, they're just simply not always safe, right?
Yes, healthy I think might be a better phrase than safe, because Anna, being the biologist, would probably be able to clarify the difference, but healthy meaning a variety of things. Safe, people more think of, can I go in it?
Okay. It's not always healthy. We'll just, we can wordsmith at another time too. So I'll put healthy. We know what we mean by it. Anything else in the areas
I just have a question if everyone thinks wetlands should be included in that.
Yes,
Right.
actually, that was my concern is we're just talking about people here, but we're not, people aren't
Yep.
the only inhabitants of District 5. We
Right.
need to protect all of the life in District 5.
Okay, so,
Well, Kelly, we could extract some of the language out of our rights of nature charter amendment. 'Cause
okay,
it speaks,
so
So-
give me a problem statement. Wetlands have been negatively impacted. But what, by development, by pollution, by what should I put?
Yes.
Well,
Wouldn't you say wetlands are disappearing?
So that'd be development.
the city
And
of Orlando just
pollution
wiped
because
out.
it's development.
By development and pollution, did I hear? Is that what I heard?
Physical elimination of the actual wetlands, like city of Orlando just eliminate the upper Wekiva with all the development out there on Princeton.
Okay, wetlands have been physically eliminated and negatively impacted by development and pollution.
Because I think they're exposed to street runoff also.
Yes.
And they probably don't go through a filtration process. At least I'm not aware of that. I know the lakes have some of those processes, but I'm not aware of the wetlands.
The wetlands typically will have, unfortunately, they locate the retention ponds right in the wetlands.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And they eliminate the wetlands and then they put the control structure right into the wetland, which has actually no ecological benefit except maybe collecting the trash, because they've eliminated all the plants that actually do the uptake.
Yeah.
So there's a
What a
real
shame.
problem with the engineering of our control structures. I understand they have to be engineered and maintained, but it's sort of like the Orlando wetlands. You allow the plants to uptake the nutrients, and you do dredge them every so often. They do clean them out, and that's okay. But right now, all these control structures are heavily maintained, mowed, sprayed, so there's no aquatic plants that actually uptake any of the nutrients. They collect the trash. That's about it. And that's not really much. That's why all the lakes like
The lawsuit Eugene mentioned earlier, what we're trying to stop is they're filling in 100 some acres of wetland, right, Eugene?
yeah. Yeah, they wiped out all along Silver Star Road. It was the last remaining sections of the upper Wekiva, and they have active nesting of swallowtail kites that they killed.
Hey, Eugene, doesn't the elimination of wetlands contribute to sinkholes?
It depends on the hydrology of the area. Actually, the lawsuit I was talking about, Eugene, is the right to water one with the
Yes.
Meridian project. They haven't actually filled in the wetland yet, but it's 110 acres they want to fill in, and we're trying to stop it.
Okay. Yeah, this is the new Subaru dealership that they're building. I just saw a big posting on that last night on Silver Star.
Okay, so we have another problem statement pertaining to wetlands have been physically eliminated, filled in, and negatively impacted by development and pollution. And we've made a claim where we say the ecological benefit of wetlands has been negatively impacted either through physical elimination, mismanagement, or development. Does that accurately reflect what you guys were saying?
Does that include that bird species dying? Because I'm sure there's other type of animals that live in those things that die also.
Yeah, there's a ton of things that are in this, but that was the highlight. There's actually a species of special concern, but I just saw it last night. It was too late to do anything about it. FWC would have probably stopped them had they caught them, but they didn't know that, and I didn't see the post until last night. But yeah, we also have to we've been attempting to do a fertilizer ordinance in Orange County
Right.
And we haven't had a lot of success, and that's really the basis of all the problems is
Yes.
people like too much.
Yes.
And
So I could give you a quick update on the fertilizer ordinance. We did that back in 2017, or
yeah,
maybe later. I can't remember when. Anyways, during my first term. And they said, the EPD at that time, I forget what her name was, that they were going to do a study on the nutrient loads to see if it would be good to do a full ban on water fertilizers during the summer.
was that
So that data was supposed to come back to us, never has. I've been asking staff to bring that forward. And I know they're hearing it from a couple of different commissioners now. So they said that they would come back in July, I believe, or August, July or August, with the information.
we should state something about that, because I know in Sierra Club we were pushing that real hard, and you know, Seminole County has a fertilizer ordinance, which is pretty good.
Right.
Maitland has one too. So we restrict when you can use fertilizer.
I mean, that's, if you look at what, for example, Lake, not Maitland, yeah, the big lake, Lake Maitland, in Winter Park, it's green. And I won't swim in that lake anymore. I used to swim in all the time when I was a kid. And that's because of the fertilizers. I mean, and Winter Park has to do something, and maybe we'll, you know, the county can't, I don't know if the county can force them, but we maybe can do a fertilizer ordinance, or at least the county, to stop the sale of fertilizer, because it's killing our lakes, and we're spending a heck of a lot of money trying to fix the lakes. So it's kind of stupid. We're spending money trying to clean them up. At the same time, we're allowing people to dump way too many nutrients into them. Is it kind of?
So you guys look at our, so I added that as a potential research question. Would a county ban on fertilizers during summer months assist in improving the water quality of D5 bodies of water? So look at the problem statements that are up above. We've got 3. We've added wetlands have been physically eliminated, filled in, and negatively impacted by development and pollution. I think that also when wetlands are filled in, it impacts flooding, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I have
The modeling of the wetland retention ponds don't, in my professional opinion, don't model what nature does. It's more of a square wave. In nature, it's more of a parabolic wave. It slowly releases the water, where a retention pond will release that full flow until it gets down to the basin of that flow valve. Then it stops. And that's why we get the econ going way up in the flooding zone during the flood season, and then it drops the trickles during the dry season, because it doesn't have that natural flow percolation like a sponge anymore.
Holly, we still see your slide. I don't know if you meant to share something else.
oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, you guys.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure that out. I'm going through the Google Drive looking to see what you're typing in.
Do you see it?
I see something now.
I'm
Really?
so sorry.
Make it larger.
Yeah, so here's what we did. So area of interest, environmental protection, thematic analysis was water quality. Purpose statement was the Neighborhood Advisory Council takes an initiative to ensure that the quality of D5 bodies of water are safe for residents and marine life. Problem statements, the water quality of D5 lakes is not always healthy. There are pollutants that go into the D5 bodies of water that negatively impact the water quality. Wetlands have been physically eliminated, filled in, and negatively impacted by development and pollution. And then we made some claims. We said educational programs for residents that reside near D5 bodies of water and stormwater systems may benefit from educational programs that informs residents on how to help improve the quality of water. D5 residents would benefit from water quality awareness programs pertaining to D5 bodies of water. The ecological benefit of wetlands has been negatively impacted either through physical elimination, mismanagement, or development. Wildlife and special interest species have been negatively impacted by the reduction in wetland habitat. Flooding has increased due to wetland reduction. And then there was 2 research questions that came out of the discussion. Is it possible to include the water quality education and awareness information in a real estate exchange when purchasing a home? And then there needs to be some form of information shared with home buyers. 2, would a county ban on fertilizer during summer months assist in improving the water quality of D5 bodies of water? That's what you.
Question, Kelly. Do we have land development codes that anyone's familiar with in Orange County? And are they being enforced? Like, what would our land development codes? Are they reflecting what we're saying here? Are they in tune with what our residents are saying is a real issue for them? And do they need to be looked at?
So are there land development codes that pertain to water quality? Is that what I'm hearing?
To building, well, I guess, yeah, water quality, wetlands, you know, building on lakes. We tend.
Okay, got it.
So there are some public works regulations that are supposed to release more water than was released naturally before they built. As far as enforcement, I don't know if anyone ever goes out, you know, and measures that every once in a while. So that I don't know about the enforcement. But I think, what was the other question you had? So we could, you know, look more into those regulations, the public works regulations with stormwater, the water quality. So, another thing is, so some of these stormwater ponds release into natural bodies of water, but they shouldn't be releasing any water that has high loads of nutrients. So that it's supposed to stay within that, the retention pond
area
to take out those nutrients before it's released.
Correct.
So those are some other things that, you know, those codes and regulations probably research more too. And see, maybe we could make some improvements upon them.
That makes me think of something, Emily.
A lot of it's not codified in county code. It's codified by the Water Management District and FDUP. So it depends on the project, but I guess as far as enforcement is concerned, it's a multifaceted enforcement effort and that's kind of coordinated. The other thing is Orange County has 13 municipalities within it. And some of those municipalities have education programs that are more robust than others, and that affects results. The other thing besides fertilizers that affects water quality and is something that our group could easily encourage is as far as education is concerned, and that is making sure to bag your leaves, because that nutrients also end up in stormwater from leaf litter. And it's important. It's important to just not blow your leaves. You need to bag them and get rid of them instead of send them down.
Something be done for the landscape companies that I see always blowing leaves down the drains. Sorry, whoever's laughing.
Emily, is there a street sweeper like in unincorporated Orange or in Olive Orange?
Well, in our
so surprisingly, so those areas that the lake boards and have MSTUs, that pays for street sweeping, which now I'm wondering if that's probably making the problem worse because they're probably sweeping all these leaves and stuff into the drain.
They are.
Yes, Emily, I would agree. I know in Glenmore, I've seen the street sweepers, and I think there's 15 drains that go, I'm trying to think of the Parsons Project map, where they go into Lake Wenata, and we're like part of a flow that goes like underneath Hall Road into the Burkett Martha area, and I think we actually get some from Irma. So yes, things do filter. The other thing I was just thinking about is there are, I'm gonna call them drain catches, and the trees that have been planted around the lakes, their foliage drops and it just sits and hangs out on the top of the drains. So then all those nutrients are going into the water. And it's not necessarily anybody putting them in, it's just Mother Nature drops her leaves or her twigs from the squirrels or whatever. And I'm not sure who you call to take care of that before they say, no, it's a homeowner's responsibility.
Well,
I live in a subdivision that's on Lake Irma, and we do have the street sweeper coming through. And you're right, a combination of the street sweeping and just natural leaves falling, because we have oak trees all over the place.
Right.
All of our drains that go directly into the lake are just packed with leaves right now. And I was wondering who takes care of that? Should we ask the owner of the home that
Yeah.
sits in front of that drain to come out and clean it up, or should this county?
well, I'm gonna speak from a city standpoint. In the city of Orlando, we have street cleaners that come out practically every week. And the way it works is they sweep, but it's sucking in, it's a vacuum, essentially. The sweeper actually sweeps into the vacuum, and then they dump their leaves into large trucks, especially during the oaks when they're dropping. And they come through about 2 to 5 in the morning, and they're very noisy. But
Right.
I know why they do it. But maybe the problem we have is not enough funding, because some of these retention ponds are being maintained by HOAs. Maybe
Right.
the county needs to collect more money. I know I pay a certain amount in my taxes every year, $170, $200 a year, that just goes to the retention pond maintenance, which brings up another point of view that we're identifying, which is what is the quality of water coming out of that retention pond? We are questioning, is it being measured? Well, maybe we need to collect a little bit more money when we pay our taxes, and we codify it and say these things will happen when you paying your taxes. Will go to measure the water quality coming out of this. It will also pay for street cleaning at a regular rate, especially during the leaf season, drop season. We need to actively do this, and it takes money. Ultimately, it takes money. You got to do it in a county level, and that's what we're doing in the city.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges is the multi-jurisdictions, because yes, City of Orlando has a great program. Actually, City of Winter Park does too, but I live in unincorporated Orange County, and if it's not the county, nothing happens here. And I'm just in a small area that's unincorporated. When you take it all the way out to East Orlando, that's a much greater geographic footprint. But having a consistent thing within District 5 does depend on coordination between multiple municipalities.
I mean,
Very well stated.
maybe we can facilitate a talk from a citizens, because we represent a bunch of different governments between the 11 of us. So maybe we can facilitate, because we know people in our local governments too, and maybe we can start doing a joint planning, because what we have to do is a joint planning eventually. And that's how government talks. They do joint plans and they do agreements across the street. So the police know that they don't have to stop at Maitland when they're chasing someone in the Winter Park, wherever. So we need a joint plan actually to deal with that.
So Kelly, I know we're at the end of our meeting. Would this be something that a breakout work group could continue to look into? Like, there's so many things here we could look at, like what Anna's saying, maybe certain lakes need our attention more than others.
Right.
Well,
So what we've just done, we did a really good, this is like the practice brainstorm that would have to happen in each of these work groups. So, and then what would happen, I'm going to go to the agenda. Can you guys see the agenda?
Yes.
yeah.
So in the agenda here, we had the live link. Emily put it here for us, which is the evidence-based policy making worksheet. And what we've just done is there are numerous problems that we identified here. We defined different problems. We didn't talk about data. Well, we did talk about some data and research, but we would begin to go through and answer these different sections and questions. But it becomes important to just kind of do that preliminary step that we just did for each group, to start there and say, okay, so here's the themes that we know we're impacting across District 5. And here's the problem that we're looking at. here's the claim that we're going to be making, and then here's our question in terms of what if we do this, would it help? And that's kind of what we have to do in order to be able to get through this worksheet, which is a great worksheet, like where it says problem elements, like why are you searching for policy solutions? You guys did such a great job of talking about why it's necessary. You know, why does it need to be addressed? Are there quantifiable assertions, or is it actually measurable? Can you determine if the nutrient loads go down? So I think we did a good job. I posted that, I posted our, excuse me, I don't know how to make that bar go away.
What we made the suggestion, we asked Lemeria to send out a Google, what's it, the thing instead of meeting up, I forget the name of that one.
A doodle poll.
A doodle poll on trying to set up a committee essentially off this group that now takes what you had just worked up and continue that and develop, and then you or I can advise or sit and just be quiet, watch, and try to help where it's needed. Maybe that's how we develop this, because I'm trying to come up in ways that
we could do it like that. The council could decide that each like somebody's going to take problem statement A, another group is going to do B, another group is going to do C. We could do it that way. We could have groups work on something all completely, totally different, draft problem statements. So it's up to the council as to
what do you think? How do you want to proceed? We're all learning.
So I think at this moment, if you want to create a work group around this here, they want to focus on or be more, then that work group can work together on deciding when they would like to meet, and start working on it, rather than the whole council. So then other people could start working on other things. So what I had in my mind was maybe 5 people per project.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
maybe
Do how you want to do it, though.
Do we want to do 5 volunteers to advance this to the what is the name of this document? I'm sorry, evidence-based policy making workshop?
I don't know if we'll get 5 tonight, but maybe get 1 or 2 interested parties, and then give them the ability to coordinate with Lemeria to try to do a doodle to the rest of the council to see if we can generate. If not within the council, then are there people external that are currently external that might be interested? This might be a way that we generate more interest, because now we've got concrete things that we're working on now. Mm-hmm. So that might, that is more at this point.
So question for the work group to move forward on what we've created tonight. When I'm looking at what Kelly has on our screen under problem statements for B and C, they're like 2 separate aspects, because one's dealing with wetlands and the other is dealing with different types of body of water. So is that 2 separate groups, or is that one group working on both of those?
They all go eventually to the same place.
Right.
I mean, so it's really because
okay.
Because wetlands go into lakes or
yeah,
rivers.
They do.
So,
I just thought there were so many avenues each section B has and section C has. I didn't know if we had to break it up or if it was just one.
To me, it's really difficult to break this out too easily, because as soon as you talk about A, you're going to start stepping on B.
Right.
Like we would. So you have to sort of do what we just did, keep it together, so that group, that's what they concentrate on. You set the boundaries of water, and water includes a lot of things.
Right.
And that's,
So Kelly, what I see is that we have enough people to have 2 action projects, which of course encompass a lot of things, but And I hear Emily saying she wants 5 or, about 5 on each of those. So that would be 2. Do we have to commit tonight without knowing what the second project might be?
I don't think so. What I feel like is, I'm
Well,
really proud of the group for this sheet that you guys drafted. I mean, it's really thought provoking, so I like it. But I think we're at a pause right now because I'm not sure how best to proceed. Like how to pick the areas and things. So
How about this? Kelly, do you want us to work on the we could work on the project brief as the executive committee, and then have that sent out to people, and they could email, and by email they could volunteer to do it.
okay, that sounds like a good idea.
I will say I'm trying to get Lemeria off of trying to schedule more than just our council meetings, because for her to have to then schedule a bunch of work group meetings is just going to be a lot of work. So I was thinking you all could schedule those on your own, your work group meetings, like between the monthly meetings.
now the one thing that Emily, that might happen is if we sort of want to stay with Google Docs. We want to try to keep some of the technologies parallel. Right now we're using WebEx. I don't know if anyone has accounts with Zoom or Google Meet or something like that. So
WebEx does have free. WebEx has a free account that you guys use. I believe also I could probably create meetings and then allow. Oh, you guys don't have. You have to have a county email though. I think.
Yeah.
Most of us know Zoom. Isn't that pretty popular right now? And it's free as long as you have a small number of people.
You're allowed up to 40 minutes. Is the cutoff. Sometimes they extend it, but it's usually 40 minutes.
Longer. Well, I don't know, but I do Zoom, and sometimes it's an hour and a half.
Oh,
I've never gone beyond that. So, but I don't know if it's free or the paid version.
I know in many of my meetings in this, we didn't pay for it, but then we were being cut off, so we finally broke down and paid for it. So,
okay.
So here's what
are always free too. Google Meets is a free. Everybody who has that, it's pretty, savvy. You could do a lot of the same things, and it's kind of everybody kind of may have that. So that's an option as well.
Yeah. Yes, I'm familiar with that one.
So maybe what we do is we do a doodle, get the people to agree to meet, and they decide the platform.
Makes sense, right?
And then the common thing that we keep together is the Google Drive, and we create a directory for that group that they can put stuff in that directory.
So right now we don't know what the other alternative groups will be. This is the only group we've sort of discovered, and you expect maybe to come up for us with 3 or 4 other topics? Is that this is what I think, just in listening to what everybody has just said, maybe this will work. So Emily brought up so Eugene, myself, and Emily will create what is the form called, Emily, please?
Project brief.
Okay, a project brief. And then we'll send that project brief out to the committee to ask for volunteers that would like to advance that project. And I think I know it feels like we have that there's enough people on the committee, but when you start to get into the nitty-gritty research of like the evidence-based policy making worksheet, I think that there's probably 2 groups that are probably within this document that we did. So maybe there's a project brief, but there's 2 potential opportunities, and then we have people sign up on those. But we'll advance that and send it out through email, and then look for interest.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Okay.
So we will do that, and I just want to say, really good job, you guys. I mean, you guys did a really good job tonight.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at our the agenda really quick here, and there was some in new business. So we didn't get to all of the new business with doing a putting this information into an evidence-based worksheet, but we did a good job in putting purpose statement, problem statement, claims. There were some other things like the monthly status report, the project plan that we wanted to cover. We'll have to do that in a future meeting. And then we had some announcements to make, and one of the announcements is pertaining to District 5, East Orange County, with a massive development that made the nation's top 10 list for shopping and retail centers, which is listed as Sustany, and it's on the banks of the Econ River. It's agricultural land right now. There is protected habitat in there, protected species that reside within there. The infrastructure in terms of roadways is not capable of supporting it. And that first community meeting is coming through in June. And we really need, this is something that, this is the former Commissioner Ted Edwards. It was his political nightmare when he passed that, voted in favor of that.
Suicide, I would say.
Yeah, it was Emily's step into the office was, passing a text amendment to our comp plan that allowed mammoth-sized development in the rural service area. The company that has been hired to do the schematics for Sustany is the same company that designed Avalon Parkway. And it's estimated at a $900 billion development with this shopping and strip mall. Emily, I sent you the article. So that meeting will be coming up in June. And we need representation from constituents to say no, that's not what we want. And then lastly, the announcement is that our next meeting date is June 9th, in between 6 and 8. So that's it. Are there any other comments for tonight?
I wanted to say something real quick about the areas that we're representing. I think that I'm on the border of the UCF area, and since we have another person in North Goldenrod, you could move me to the UCF area because I live right in a subdivision on University Boulevard. The only thing is I'm not a student, of course. So if you're looking for someone who's lives near the university than me.
Yeah. I think that's a great move, and we love I'm a professor there at UCF. We love our students, but our students are not permanent residents usually of the area.
Yeah.
So it's great to have a permanent resident, I think, representing the needs and interests of an area.
I think I'm only about 4 miles from the entrance to the university. So you can switch me if you'd like to.
Thanks, Cheryl.
I'm very close.
Sharon.
I do have another recruit too. He couldn't make this meeting. But he's a UCF student. I don't know where he lives though, but he might live near UCF as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something to mention on the analysis that you did of the word analysis. Those words really key to think about with this new development that Kelly just talked about. Bike safety, public transportation, controlled growth, congestion. Those are all applicable on this. So we really need people and make sure this doesn't happen. My preference is buy it as a park, but that's me. That's my mantra.
Yeah. I agree.
It'd be cheaper too. I bet if you work economics out.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I guess
I think
a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I'll second it.
I motion.
Okay, Eugene seconds.
Motion to adjourn as well. Thank you
I
guys
thought-
for having me
Motion,
tonight.
Callie, that's okay.
Thank you, everybody. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Aye.
just have to say thank you to everybody too. For this.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily, for allowing us to put this together and for helping you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Great job. Good job.
Kelly, could you tell me how you spell Sustany so I can look out for it?
It's SUSTANEE.
And oh, I see. Okay. Okay, I'll keep a lookout for it.
Yep.
Okay.
And Emily, did you see the article that I sent to you? They're in the nation's top 10 for retail shopping area. That's how much
Not
money.
even yet. How are they the top 10?
No,
I
in
think we need
terms
more
of that,
detail.
in the top 10 in the spotlight. That's what it is. Top 10 in the spotlight.
We're getting
Wow.
ready to down Fast Square right now and redevelop it. So why do they need more retail? Everyone does Amazon.
Yeah.
So we did adjourn, so I'm gonna stop the recording.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, are we done?